Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip, and well, you are not me, so you are not Toddy One Skip. Do you skip with just one leg? Are you like hopping, is what we would call it? Do you Toddy One Hop? Guys, so Into the Weeds podcast, Amber and Delora and 1980 Millenial went on to the Slacker Show, and the Slacker Show apparently they had the Gypsy Rose story wrong, and they wanted Into the Weeds and 1980 to go ahead and correct that narrative, and that's exactly what they did, and I think they did a fantastic job. It's one of my favorite videos about Gypsy Rose because it's all you need to know that Gypsy has just lied. Just this one video, I think it's perfect. I'm going to go over it and I'm going to tell you why. Because why? Because I can. Anyway, listen, let's have some fun with it. And seriously, I think they did a fantastic job, and let's talk about it. All right, let's go.
Everything for the Historical Society for Missouri to just make some kind of project for it to just be there in case anybody wants to see the evidence.
And it wasn't necessarily.
So Amber knew of Gypsy, and this is how she got involved, really. She knew of Gypsy because her cousin, I believe, did time in Chillicothe, or is doing time in Chillicothe, and she ended up knowing, I guess, Gypsy, and they started praying for Gypsy because they believed the narrative. And then when Gypsy got out of prison, and the first thing she wanted to do was go to the Taylor Swift concert and meet with all the celebrities, it made Amber take a pause, and it made Laura take a pause and say, wait a minute. So they started looking into it. Amber did, for sure. She started looking into it and ended up going down this rabbit hole, and she just found that she wants to correct the narrative of what's going on, like I had said before, and that's exactly what she wants to do right here with the show, and what she's been doing with the emails and everything that's come out is trying to correct this narrative. And because she wanted to get it together for a project for the society in Missouri so that all of the evidence and everything could be documented and people could go over it and get the correct narrative. So pretty clever there.
It wasn't necessarily for or against her. It was just to kind of see what was going on. And we're still not even like
against
trying
her
to hurt her in any way. It's just that we feel like it would be beneficial for the general public to have an accurate story of what's really been going on.
And isn't that fair? I think that's fair because Gypsy's out here. Well, supposedly she's gone away, but then I heard she's out again. I don't know. But she's not a very good influence on our community, on the society as a whole. Is she?
Because it just seems like the grift continues, and it did continue during prison, and we have, unfortunately, some proof of it. So
now I want you to remember that the only reason why anybody has really caused doubt here is because of Gypsy. Gypsy has created her own doubt for us in this case. Had she have behaved differently, like everybody assumed she would behave. Now, is that fair? Is that fair to say, well, how do you know how you'd assume if you were like that? If you were... But she wasn't ABUSCD'd. She wasn't. There's not a picture supporting it. There's not a conversation supporting it. Only after, as an alibi.
For me, it's slightly different because, like Amber and Alora, I'm from Missouri. I don't live there currently, but I'm from the Ozarks. I'm from Southwest Missouri, where they landed after Katrina and where they grifted. Some of my friends and family were actually Dee Dee and Gypsy's next door neighbors in Aurora, Missouri.
Now, that's always been a tough spot that Millenial has shared with us, that she's always kind of kept things quiet, because when she would mention something, or if somebody would mention something about maybe them being taken advantage of by these people, they came to the defense. They're very sensitive to that. That's got to be so hard, especially as now, you know, somebody who has basically helped expose who this person really is. And for sure, you know, their instinct was right. You know, millennials got really good gut instinct. I've got to tell you that, you know.
Before they got the Habitat for Humanity house in Springfield where the murder happened. So even though I didn't meet them personally, I really watched this grift of the community go down in real time. And there were a few times that I personally questioned things to my friends and family, such as the snow jumping video in Aurora. Whenever they were there, I was like, y'all, our legs are moving. And oh man, I got jumped by people who were like, don't you understand that wheelchair users aren't always paraplegic? They don't even always need it full time. Don't decrease the need here, and blah blah blah. And
Told you.
so, you know, I hadn't met them personally, kind of backed off, but not everyone believed. And it really bothers me that even after doing the murder, after getting the baby plea sentence and all the chances in the world, it feels like she come out and continued the pattern that her mother taught her of living off sympathy and grifting the public.
Now, she didn't wait to get out of prison. She was doing that shit in prison, because Millennial read that and sewed it into the Weeds podcast. So she didn't wait to get out of prison. She was still doing it, right? Yeah, and I'll take it one step further and say that she kind of took the faces of the people that were skeptical and rubbed our faces in the dirt about it, you know.
And so I talk about her. I do donations from the money I make from my channel back to charities in Southwest Missouri and the Ozarks that are the type that would have been hurt by that sort of grift back in the day. They may not have existed at the time, but we're putting back into that community, my community.
I absolutely love that Millennial is doing that. I think that says a lot about her character, and you know, I know that she's a character, but she also has great character. So I'm glad that she's doing that. That's a wonderful thing.
I think the craziest thing about all of this, because like I knew I'm very into like true crime, all of that stuff. So like I knew her story leading up, but I kind of drifted, no pun intended, as she got out of prison. And like I didn't realize all of everything she's falling back into, and how she's manipulating, and how she's doing the exact same things that her mother did.
Yeah.
So apparently, I think this is the gentleman's wife, and because she's part of the Slacker show, I believe, and she was the one that actually was more interested in the case. I don't think that the gentleman knows as much as I think his wife. But let me tell you something. Do you see these albums? Look at those albums. Great albums. A lot of them are great albums. Kudos to you on your album collection.
And it's like, you don't expect anybody that comes out of prison after being there for 8 years to come back and just be perfect and normal, especially because I feel like we can all agree, despite our personal feelings, that there was some weird stuff going on there. You know, it wasn't normal. It wasn't a healthy dynamic. But it just shows that just over and over and over again, she's repeating the same behaviors. And we just hope that the other patterns don't lead to something more nefarious.
So guys, I want you to know that I haven't taken the whole interview here. If you want to see the whole interview, please check it out on the Slacker show. But I've taken, you know, the parts that I want to, you know, highlight, which is a good portion of the interview. So there's going to be a few parts to this if you want me to continue on with this. As far as this series goes, if you want me to continue on with breaking down the Slacker show here, because I just think that this was fascinating and just really important.
Do
And you
you
know,
think that do you think she accidentally got with this guy and then the plan began to form? Or are you saying she handpicked this kid who was clearly on the spectrum at a minimum? And
Yeah.
as we learn more about him, he seems at least self-diagnosed as multiple personalities. Like, you think she did that on purpose?
I don't think Nick has different personalities. I think that that's not true, right? I think that Gypsy got him into that. So I I wouldn't agree with the way that that gentleman is saying that.
yeah.
Yeah. So in 2011, she actually picked up a BB gun, which she said in her first interview that she thought it was a real gun, and shot her mom, what was it, 10 or 11 times?
One or the other.
Quite a few.
She
And,
chased her around the house with it.
and in her book, she actually says that she chased her mom with a dagger in one hand and the gun in the other, but she's in her wheelchair and she's chasing her mom with a dagger and a
Well, that's another thing that never adds up is the fact that she claims often that her mom forced her to stay in the wheelchair all the time, but multiple medical tests show that she never lost muscle mass in her legs. There was no way she could have maintained that by just hiding from Dee Dee and only occasionally getting out of it.
And that's common sense, millennial. That's just even common sense. But when a doctor says it, it holds much more validity, right? So why is it taking so long for people to see what's going on and what happened here? Has Gypsy gone away because she's expecting that on her door with people saying you're a liar, 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 and everybody knowing that? Does she feel the shift in the wind? Does she feel the change? Does she know that there's actually much more people that don't like her, that don't trust her, that knows that she's a liar than there ever were before? And now those voices are getting louder. The rumblings you can't ignore anymore. Is that what's going on with Gypsy now?
Dee Dee definitely, the wheelchair was a con. She did not use it all the time behind closed doors. It seems clear from the medical records that that would have been impossible to believe.
If you look at the house, you can't even get the wheelchair. Each room, I have said, has a wheelchair in it because you have to walk into the room. You can't get through the corridors, the hallways in that house because there's so much garbage. I mean, she would be only able to get in the wheelchair by walking into each room, and each room had a wheelchair, it seems. I think the bathroom had two. So she would walk to her wheelchair and turn it around because each room was a fucking mess too.
Yeah, and even just by looking at the crime scene photos, even if you don't look at like the really disgusting, tragic ones, you just see the state of the house. It was that of a hoarder, and there were no wheelchair marks on the carpet. There was just no way that she was going to be able to 24/7 be in that wheelchair inside of that.
Yeah.
I told you.
Well, a really shocking thing to us too from the emails that we've read from the FOIA request is that Gypsy talked about how she left the home and met, I think when she was 18, it was a 50-year-old local man that she'd been talking to on Facebook. I recognize that 18 is legal, but I feel like any mother would be extremely alarmed at their 18-year-old going to meet a 50-year-old man they'd only chatted with oddly on Facebook.
Rod, this is where I think you come into play, buddy. Because I think Gypsy has missed you her whole life. And this, I think you might need to own.
And so that demonstrates she absolutely had the capability to leave. And when she left with Nick, she stole several $1,000s worth of cash out of a safe that Dee Dee had. It obviously would have been very simple to steal that same cash and leave one of the times she left to meet men.
That's right. We've said it from day one since we found out Gypsy's a liar, liar, pants on fire. She could have left at any time. She didn't have to leave the way she did leave. Guys, I'm going to stop it here. And I think there's 2 or 3 more parts to this. If you want me to continue on, I think it's a really good interview. You could check it out. It's on the Slacker Show. 1980 Millenial was on there, and Into the Weeds podcast with Amber and Alora. And guys, don't forget, 1980 Millennial and Into the Weeds podcast, I believe, are both going to be at CrimeCon in Denver on Thursday, I think, or Friday. Whenever it is, they're going to be there. So, yeah. But guys, let me know what you think. And this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am, you're not. Please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. And thank you. As always, thank you so much for your subscriptions. Those that aren't subscribed, come on over to my place. And thank you for super chats, your memberships, the love you've given me from the other channel, emails, all that stuff, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, guys. My Cash Apps, sorry I forgot. My PayPals. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. I forgot. Thank you, guys, so much. Appreciate it. And be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Take care.